All right. Our last caller today is David from New York. The late, great Planet Earth book forecasted a lot of future events. David, you're talking to Seth and Johnny.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with this book. What book is this?
Sure. Well, my name is David Hauser. I'm from New York. I'm 67 years old. Over 40 years ago, I saw the movie, The Late Great Planet Earth. Orson Welles, famous English actor, was the narrator. Saw the movie, got the book. It became the best-selling book of the decade during the 1970s. My brother and I got invited to a local high school twice a year, 17 years in a row, and gave a lecture on the book. September 11th came. They politely told us not to come back. Now, in the book from 50 years ago, if it's correct in its analysis of what they said was going to happen, based on the ancient Hebrew prophets, right now we'd see Iran publicly threatening to destroy Israel. There's an entire chapter in the book on Russia getting nasty, big problems in Syria, a global unsolvable problem over Jerusalem, the West Bank, and the Temple Mount, a coming Mideast peace treaty, a global cashless society, global pandemics, and an increase of major earthquakes. Now, believe it or not, I'm a press secretary for an international foundation. It's called Pave the Way Foundation. I'm on the board of directors. I've got a chance to meet the Pope, John Bolton, Newt Gingrich, the president of Israel's son, etc., and we discussed this. Now, very simple. We also, after I saw this movie and got the book, I started buying the book and giving out to people. So what we did is my brother and I wrote a little mini newspaper called The Last Trumpet. It's on mctbrochures.com.
Hey, hang on.
It's a dramatization.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before you shill for the book, you met the Pope? You talked about Hal Lindsey and the end times with the Pope?
100% top Vatican officials, yeah.
I'm trying to find out just how full of shit you are. You sat and talked about Hal Lindsey with the Pope.
Well, let's put it this way. You go to PTW.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, I hate to jump in, but I mean, I was born at night. I wasn't born last night. And for those who don't know Hal Lindsey, real fast, Hal Lindsey is a guy who wrote a best-selling book. And this was right on the cusp of the satanic panic, and everybody's talking about the end of the world. And so is Hal Lindsey. I believe he was smart enough not to pull a Harold Camping and actually give you a specific date. But he was doing the same thing that every generation has done for thousands of years. The end is coming. And most of the predictions that he gave are so conveniently vague. There will be wars and rumors of wars.
Don't forget those rumors.
What have the last 1,000 years of headlines been? Trouble in the Middle East, right? That kind of thing. And then there's the pattern-seeking aspect of it, where if you see a world figure who has done this specific thing, you're like, aha, they didn't mention him by name, but this sure looks like they did it, and that therefore it's true. People do a lot of this with the Christian Old Testament. By the way, Hal Lindsey's personal life is a nightmare. I think he's been married 4 times. So the idea that he's standing out and being a pillar of biblical morality and superior thinking, when you look at his life is just as screwed up as anybody else's. And his book it's really a joke. And so is the film, which was very satanic panic. The film was very satanic panic. It was I want to say 1980 or 1981, a product of its time when people were thinking the world is going to end at any moment. And of course it did not. I don't believe that our caller met with the Pope. I don't believe he's rubbing elbows with world leaders. And I certainly don't think the Pope gives a shit about Hal Lindsey, right? Essentially a Protestant end of the world prophet, for profit. No, I just don't buy it. My alarm's going off, Johnny.
Your spidey sense is tingling.
Sorry, brother.
Well, no, not at all. It's fun to spin a yarn, isn't it? But no, I think I'll go look into it. I suppose the late great Planet Earth sounds like it might be fun. I'll have to.
Yeah,
is it a waste? Is it a waste?
I mean, you can read it, but it looks like a lot of the other cryptic writings that fall apart upon cursory glance. Remember the Millennium Bug, right? And all the apologists like Lindsay, right? They come forward and they're like, well, this is a sign. The end of the millennium means that the apocalypse shall begin. And they sell a squillion books and prey on the fear of the buying public. And the millennium happens and nothing transpires. And there seems to be no consequences for the prophets other than the fact that they sold a ton of books. And Hal Lindsey was no different. You know, he's no different.
And we never learn because another charlatan shows up, makes their predictions, and they don't come true. But the books are already sold. So, well, okay, perhaps I won't look into it. Seth, that's the end of the show.
I think that, if I may, I think that people who make an end of the world prediction in a book should do the same things that psychics should have to do when they make a prediction. I think it should be a pay per play model where you are only compensated when you are correct, when everything transpires, and you have to be specific. And it only transpires exactly the way you say, then you get the royalty.
Money back guarantee.
Right? It's a performance-based thing.
Yeah.
So if you're really good and you're absolutely spot on correct, it's a win-win. It's a windfall. And I've always thought, you know, a lot of these prophets of doom who are naming and claiming, I think they should do that. I mean, if you're going to claim it, put up or shut up. And you certainly shouldn't be rewarded for fear pimping your apocalyptic doom to gullible people.
Pimping.